Greetings, it's Nika. Welcome to Nika Knows. Today we're going to be talking about what Nika knows about the NICU journey. NiCU, Neo-Intensive Native Care. Yes, that's what we're about to talk about. I have to start with my beautiful baby girl. I had her at 24 weeks. That's the first day that we came home from the NICU, 8 months later. And this is her. Her name is Iyami. It means that I am that I am. This is her at 4 years old in April. It's my sweet girl. Can't tell you about the journey without her. Actually, many mothers are forced to tell you their journey without their kids. So I want to acknowledge that. I just got off a Zoom call about the Prematurity. It's NICU Awareness Day, or Preemie Awareness Day, and I was one of the speakers. And I'm just coming on to do the story for Nika Knows, because why not? Why it's fresh on my mind, you know? So, my journey starts with my gynecologist, who was neglectful. I'm in Louisiana. It's not uncommon. Look up the stats. A week and a half before I went into labor, I told my gynecologist that I was having symptoms. I happened to have a visit, and the visit, it was a scheduled visit. So I had that scheduled visit, and I had these symptoms. It was like loose bowels, or softer bowels. I had passed my mucus plug. I didn't know what that was at the time. I had back pain, and it was something else. And I had all of that together. So at the scheduled visit, I let her know that, and she gave me a website to go to. Excuse some of the noise in the background. My lover is here fixing some stuff up in the house. I'm so thankful for him. So that's what's going on over here. I just wanted to get the story out. So, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, that half a week passed, and I'm having preterm labor symptoms. I go to the website, I look at the symptoms, and I'm like, oh my God, these are the symptoms I told the doctor. And I call the hospital, and they tell me that since my daughter was 22 weeks, if I had her, they wouldn't save her because it's too young to save the child. Typically because, you know, the needles and all that, the tubes and everything that the child needs, it's not going to fit inside of the veins of a 22-week child. So I said, Iyami, you can't come right now. And she waited, thankfully. We went to the hospital the next day. She was 23 weeks. And I was bleeding. I had all the symptoms. And something happened where I wasn't actually having the contractions that I was having before. I was having contractions 3 minutes apart. 3 minutes apart for an hour. 3 to 5 minutes apart for an hour. And they sent me home. They said, come back if you start bleeding again. But I was bleeding when I left. So I went home, dismissing any possibility of labor. I thought that I had appendicitis. And for a week, I was in labor. I was, you know, the cramping, the labor, contractions, I was having them for a week. And, you know, of course, they weren't 3 minutes apart, but they was like every day. And then, bam, I delivered. I was in, you know, labor that was unbearable. I get to the hospital. I got treated horribly. I didn't look very presentable. Of course, I was at home in labor all week. I wasn't taking care of anything. My daughter's father was, you know, carrying me in, and we got treated real bad. I was a little unresponsive. I couldn't really talk. And it felt like a real racial thing that happened, and it could have turned out really, really, really bad, like jail bad. We finally get through triage, and I'm separated from my daughter's father for a very long time. Now it's standard in the hospital to separate the parents to make sure that there's no abuse or anything like that. They can ask those questions, but I'm asking for him and things like that, and they're just not letting him in until it got to a point where, I'm not telling you nothing until he get in here, And there's a bunch of doctors around me. They don't know what's going on. They leave me in there after a while. I'm like screaming and being in labor, but I was looking a little cray. Plus that, y'all know, if on this channel I got a history, some mental stuff. So then this one Asian lady, they all rushed back in there, and this one Asian lady came out the blue. I never forget. She was a heavy-set Asian woman, and she had her hand in the air like this, and she walked in there. It was like Jesus walked up in there. I don't know, not to everybody else, but to me. And she was like, "This woman is in labor. Get her to XYZ room." And that was that. So they rolled me out, and then I don't know if some of y'all ever heard of when you're in labor, you get to this place that's like a very, very peaceful. Like you have this moment of peace and relaxation. I just got 3 teeth removed, so my mouth is still a little off, y'all. That was two days ago. But I experienced that. So as they was rolling me to the room, I like went into utter peace. My contractions had stopped. I guess my baby was down to the canal. Excuse me. And I got to the room. I pushed twice, and popped out of Yami. They was like, hold up, push, and she didn't come. And then they asked me to push again. I was like, Yami, and she came out, no sound. Dad took a video, and they brought her to the NiCU area, I guess. And he brought back a video, and then he left. They gave me some medicine that they said I needed to like stop bleeding, but I could tell by the look of the other doctor who was there, or assistant, that I didn't really need it. But I was going through all I was going through. I asked if I needed it. They say yeah, even though I saw the other person looking like she don't really need that. I just agreed to it, to 1 dose where they put me on a drip. So with the prior mental condition, I had read something that said women with that condition, when they have the child, while they're pregnant, they lose the symptoms of the condition. So you become more of a sane person. And so due to I'm thinking that I'm like going into a place where I'm about to be crazy again. And, because I just feel myself going through a trance, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is it. This is where I lose my mind. My child saved me for the months that I had, and now I'm about to lose my mind because I wasn't on medication while I was going through the pregnancy, because it wasn't healthy for my child, And then you can go to, I think I did the video, I haven't uploaded the video on how I got off of medication, but when I do, you can go to that video. I'll link it somewhere to show you how I safely got off of, or successfully got off of medication. So my godmother was there, and she was like, is she on any medicine? Found out I was on a drip. They stopped the drip, and the symptoms went right away. I was back to my normal self. My OBGYN, who wasn't even there for the delivery, came in all out of breath. Oh, yeah, it looks like you had a placental abruption and this and that. No apologies, no accepting any blame or anything. And no congratulations, nothing. Just excuses. That's what I got. So The story is still hard for me. It's like 4 years ago. It's something though, you know. So, you know, they bring me to a room. My daughter's in the NICU. I think the next day somebody came. I forgot the woman's name. A black woman came and taught me how to pump my breast. And so I pumped my breast. Y'all woke up with these big old titties, and I was like, I see why people get implants, because I felt like Superwoman. I took a picture in the mirror with my two big old new titties, and you know, the drawers you get, the underwear you get in the hospital come way up here. Babe, I was Wonder Woman for a day. You heard me? Thanks, y'all. Excuse me, but yeah. And I think it was 2 or 3 days before I actually saw my child. I remember being wheelchaired in to see her, and you know, like touching the incubator thing. At 5 days, she started dying. Like every hour, like she just started dying. They was like, do you want to come and hold her and let her die in your arms? Or, you know, and I was like, well, if she fighting, we gonna fight. Her dad was like, you know, it's like, this child has a name. Her name is Iyami. It means I am that I am. And we sang her name song the whole time while they reviving her over and over and over again. They revive her, she breathes, she moves, and then she dies. And, you know, this just happens, you know. So I'm just singing her name, Iyami. Oh, show me why Orisha baby shall be up. Her dad practiced Ifa, so she got those 2 middle names, and we honored that. And I gave her a first and a last name, because her last name wasn't gonna be no slave name, Smith. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So that's the pot cooking. I'm gonna continue with the video. So, so we was like, we're gonna fight. So they drove over the children's. They went through all the talk. You know, she might die on the way and stuff like that. And, you know, we went to children's. On that day, this is the day I cut everybody off. I called my dad, let them know that my baby was going to children's. Everybody except my godmother, her wife, who was there that's a whole nother story, but they was there. They brought me to the hospital with her dad in the car. And her dad, that was it. That was my world right there in Iyami. So I called my dad and I told him, you know, I just delivered a few days ago, and you know, she's dying, and we bringing her to another hospital. And he was like, okay, prepare for the worst. And my faith couldn't handle it. I stopped talking to everybody. I ain't have time to talk to nobody anyway. There was a Wendy O'Neill. You know, she came by. She was there that day on the 5th day when Iyami got her name and when she was dying and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a part of the NICU journey. Relationships, they change quickly, you know. So we get to Children's Hospital. She's in the NICU for 8 months. She has 8 surgeries while she's there. At this point, I think she has 10 surgeries, but she had 8 surgeries while she was there. She had surgery on her heart. She had a PDA and an SDA. I feel like I went to school. When she was in NICU, I went to school, because they would come with all these conditions, and you know, the hemo. Now I'm a 4 years removed, so I don't remember everything like I used to. But you know, all these different conditions, I needed to understand what they were. So I had to go and I had to learn. And thankfully, I had a background in research. I went to school for ag econ, so that's all research, food, and money. You know, so you know, I would research everything. She had the what's it called? It's like hemo something. but it's when you have brain bleeds. And she had a stage 4 on one side, stage 3 on the other side. Stage 4 is the highest you go. She had to get a shunt. She still has a shunt, and today probably will have it for the rest of her life. She had the ASD and the PDA, which both of these are like holes in the heart. One closes on its own. I think the ASD, when the child leaves out of the body, it closes so the blood can flow the opposite way. Because when the child is in your body, well, that's probably a little bit. I could probably do a video about the conditions in the NICU, like NICU diseases and surgeries and stuff. Right now, I just want to tell you my journey. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. Let's interact. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And share this video with people who need it. You don't have to share this mass, share it with people who need it. So so then what? Y'all, I had on a wig when I just did the thing. I had on a pretty gold wig, but I just took my braids down and I was like, I'm about to do this video. I don't remember where I left off at. So she had the surgery on her intestine. She had a G-tube. She had surgery on hernia. She had eye surgery. I don't think they did anything to her ears, but she had the 8 surgeries. And then relationship. So while we were there, the first week of Yami being at the new hospital, our little team of 4, me, her dad, my godmother, and her wife, they sent me home. They said, go home for 3 days, get you some rest, come back. We had the app Marco Polo. I meant to say that on the video. It's on Facebook. We had the app Marco Polo where you can video each other. I can video them back and forward and communicate and stuff like that. So I was in contact with them. But my grandmother came and she was like, and this is probably also a story that can go on its own, but I'm just say a bit. It turned into us deciding to get a shared custody agreement where it would be me and my daughter, dad, sharing custody with my godmother and her wife. This was, as my godmother presented to me, a way to make sure that if something happened to me with my mental stuff, and if, watching over her dad making decisions, my godmother and my daughter wouldn't go to the state. She would actually have somebody designated to go to. And that would be my godmother, her dad, my godmother, and my godmother's wife. And in that order. And then my godmother would be over me. Instead of her dad being over me, my godmother would be over me. So it was like a will and a power of attorney thing situation. That turned south because they thought I was trying to let them adopt my child. That's not what I wanted. And that was a long story. That's definitely going to be a video by itself. But it messed up their relationship. And when my daughter was about 4 months, me and her dad separated. It was abrupt. It was quick. There's some background to that. But definitely, being in the NICU, man, you don't have time for all that. I ain't had no time for all that. Come up in there with an argument. Oh, no, let me get the birth pump. It's time for me to go. Time to go. Because I got to get up and go and breastfeed my baby. I got to talk to these doctors. I got to catch the bus to the hospital because you done got my car repossessed. Like I said, it's another story. But it was just very difficult on me. Having already prior mental things going on, and phobias and stuff like that. And then I'm thrown into it. It messed up the relationship a lot. And then, I started communicating with my little sister some, who had her own little stuff going on. But it was so good to my heart to be communicating with her because we so close. But when that happened, I wasn't talking to people. So he got jealous about that. That was the issue, and it's like, man, I ain't laughed in I don't know how long. and my sister's coming around, and you tripping, and you don't even be around. You hiding at work. You at work all the time. But yeah, that's another story. So we got through the NICU. All the doctors. One of the stories. So one time there was a doctor at Children's. It's a teaching hospital. So every 2 weeks you get another set of doctors and assistants and all that stuff, right? I still don't know where the private hospital's at. Like, I'm trying to get to a point where I got the money, I can take my child to a private hospital, and ain't no change in no doctors. It's one doctor. I don't even know how they go, but I'm gonna find out. But so this one doctor would come around, blonde hair, blue eye, bruh. The stereotype was hard in my head, okay? And she was giving it. She was living it. And she would, like, do things, you know, make these decisions. She'd be like, yeah, this is what works with, you know, children like Yami, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know if she would ever say her name. But then she'll come back and say, well, you know, it usually works for children like Yami, but it didn't work. So, you know, I don't need one time for that to go wrong for me to be on guard, right? Now, it went wrong 2 or 3 times. So now you coming at me, no. So now I'm doing my research. She told me some stuff like, we on a nitric machine, right? She on oxygen and she on nitric. You on nitric, you ain't, it's looking real slim for you in terms of life, okay? So she on a nitric machine. They're trying to wean off the nitric machine. Nitric goes 5, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5, 5, 5. You start at 20, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She was not waning well. So I'm asking the doctor, can we not jump down this 5 points? Can we go down 3 points? We probably was at 10 at this point. No, we was at 15. I don't know where we was at. But she was like, we're going down to XYZ, and that's it, pretty much. No, that wasn't sitting right with me. So, it wasn't nothing I could do about it immediately. But, y'all, I did not sleep that night. I went home. I went and did my research. Did the research. I found articles for the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, which turned out to be a very prominent hospital for these conditions and stuff like that. I went back to the hospital at 3 in the morning. I went and found the specialist, waited for them to come to the room, and I told them, this is what the doctor's telling me. I know that this protocol, I'm pretty sure my daughter's in the percentile of this research study that don't respond the way that they're expecting them to respond. I'm watching her. I know how to read the monitors. I've been in here for a long time. Probably at least 4 months at that point. I don't know. But I've been here long enough to know the machines and see how my child responded to being weaned off of this medicine. And I know she's not ready for a big old 5 jump. So, you know, he told me, he was like, yeah, she doesn't have to go down that far. So they changed it, and she was at the point where I wanted her to be. But, like, having to push and do those advocate, like, I had to fight a lot with the doctors. And it wasn't always a fight, but it was, you know, sometimes just questioning a doctor can feel like a fight when you are trying to keep your sanity and trying to breastfeed, you know, and if you stress out, your milk don't come. So, you know, like, and then also when you're in the NICU, you have so many people caring for your child. It's not just you. It's so much that you don't know. You really have to rely on other people to give you the right information, to care for your child when you're not there. You know, when we first got there, we was doing 12-hour shifts. So Yami was never alone. Then when my godmother and them peeled off, you know, they had to get back to their life on top of the drama. It was me and her dad doing 12-hour shifts. And then when we separated, I couldn't do the 12-hour shifts. So I was doing 12-hour shifts, but after a while, that wasn't really working. So I started doing 8-hour shifts every day except for Sunday. And, you know, I'd be there, I think, at 8. 8 till 6, 9 to 5, something like, I don't know, something like that. And yeah, I lost my point. I got a little lost. But I just wanted to share about having to go back and forth with the doctors. You know, you fighting for your child's life. To them, some of them might care. Some of them is like, this is a chance to see how a child will respond to X, Y, Z. They want to bring all the assistance and stuff like that. It was that kind of thing sometimes. But we got through the NICU. I shared in the last thing that I went to the hospital. I was hospitalized twice around this NICU. So when Yami, I think probably not long after the 4 months, right, everything was going crazy, I checked into the hospital because I wasn't well. I knew I wasn't well. And, you know, I think I stayed there for like 3 days maybe. And her dad was like, I hope you're all right. Because Yami effed up. That's what he directly told me. Coming out the hospital. And I'm like, no, I need to go back. I need to go back to the hospital. How you going to come tell me some stuff like that? No time to recover. Not really any help. It was like just, it was crazy. And that's why I got the song, My Life is Like a Movie. From that hospital stay. It's just so much always in my life. But that's what makes my channel, right? So, so when she came home at 8 months, her dad was not very present, like at all, for like the first month or so. Medicine 4 times a day. She need to eat every 3 hours. I'm pumping every 4 hours. She got to eat through the feeding tube, and she on the breast. And I'm mixing the feeding tube and the breast milk together. Not much time to eat, sleep, take a bath, nothing. There's people coming to the house to help, to give me like 2 hours of just respite. And that's just about all they could do. Because with her being on so many machines and stuff like that, still to this day, I don't sleep when she's around. Even though there's no machines, I'm like, I'm always on alert. Because I never, you know, I got to make sure I hit a machine if she stopped breathing. There was times that I was so tired that I wouldn't even hear the machine beeping. Somebody else in the house would hear the machine beeping. Thankfully, somebody, when me and my daughter's father split up, a sister in the community who was looking out for me, I can't say too much, you know, it's a little tricky, but that's why I went and lived with her and her family. And, you know, so she helped me out a lot. You know, it was crazy. So when she was about 14 months, I went back to the hospital, checked myself back in, a little bit of suicidal ideation, you know, some other things I ain't really trying to say out loud, but it was rough. I went back to the hospital, and the thing that I was doing, that I was doing before this, the Zoom call, was about mental health and NICU prematurity and stuff like that. So that's why I'm kind of, you know, focusing on the mental health part of it. But I'm also watching the time. If I could catch this at 30 minutes, that'd be good, you know. After that, there was adoption. I was thinking about adoption, you know, being a person with mental conditions and trying to raise, you know, make sure my child had what she needed. You know, I wasn't too prideful to be like, you know, we gonna make it. I wanted my child to have what she needed. And at the time, wasn't too sure if I could give that to her, being as dependent as I was. And, you know, so I thought about that. It didn't work out, thankfully. And then a whole bunch of stuff happened. Like, a whole bunch of life happened after that. But overall, you know, she's good now. Her biggest problem is her lungs. I think I covered a lot of things that I covered in the last video. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to expound on them. Thank you. Go and sparkle, y'all.